What's happening? I'm back. Part 5. Detroit Mayoral Debate. Like I said before, fish starting to fly. People getting some key points across. Let's listen in.
The panel will begin. We had two. You want to make it 15 seconds?
Yeah, 15-second rebuttal. Just on something quick that Mr. Griffin said here. He mentioned the Attorney General defending the pension system. And I'm not ready to believe, because I understand the level of political corruption that's going on in the state of Michigan. And as a state representative, I'm just not ready to believe that the Attorney General is earnest about defending those people's pensions.
Okay, thank you. John Lula, we'll now open up to the panel with Debbie Dingle. This question will be addressed to all of the candidates. Each one will have 1 minute to answer the question.
Well, I've changed my question about 3 times sitting here, but I would say that you are the 4 candidates that may not be known as well by many of the citizens of Detroit. So many of them are wondering, why do you want this job? And what is it, what skills do you have that you'll bring, that you'll make a difference in everybody's lives in this city who want the lights on, they want the police to come when there's a crime in their neighborhood, and if they're sick, an ambulance to get there in time to save their lives.
Now check out these answers. You gotta listen to what they're saying. You might and you might not like it.
Well, you know what? I'll take that if nobody's going to jump in. Debbie, you sat next to me on the floor of the House of Representatives. I'm a state representative, and you know I'm very well known in Detroit. But this is just a farce for you to ask a question and ask why I'm in the third group. I respect each and every one of these gentlemen here, but you all don't respect everyone to bring them up here on the stage together. At the end of the day, I have a 3-part plan. The first part of it is political corruption. The second part of that plan is talking about crime and then attacking poverty. At the end of the day, when we institute the plan to attack political corruption, we can make sure that resources reach the people, because that's been a #1 issue in Detroit. How can you fight crime and you won't fight political corruption? When I started the investigation into Robert Picano, people across Detroit know about that. They know about me doing that. I made sure that resources came from Wayne County to Detroit. And as mayor, I will continue to make sure resources reach the neighborhood, because when we do that, then our neighborhoods will flourish. We can cut grass, we can tear down abandoned homes if we get an honest mayor in there who's not corrupt, who's not going to hook up his buddies. And it seems to me that the media is continuing to push candidates who I believe and who people know have compromised integrity. So to me, tonight, what I'm trying to do, but you want to focus on the violent crime, but you won't focus on the political crime, because the political crime is what's driving the city in the ground.
The rules are, we must wrap up that response. John Lula, thank you so much. Let's go right down the line. Mr. Collier, if you'd like to offer a response as well, Mr. Collier.
I was asked by my political party to represent the interests of the working class. It was not enough. Basically, we're saying that the working class has to build an independent political party of its own that's going to unite the working class, both black, white, and immigrant workers together in a common struggle against capitalism, which is the source of the unemployment, the poverty, the racism. Until those things are attacked by workers, we cannot get rid of those symptoms, because they will be continued under the Obama administration and whoever's elected as mayor of the city of Detroit. Their agenda is to squeeze every penny possible out of the pockets of workers in order to bleed the city dry and make profits more for the banks.
Now, for some strange reason, like I say, he got some hell of an insight. He know a lot that's going on in as well as outside of our city. You know what I mean? He taking pretty much small ideas and making them huge, and putting it out there like these things are trickling down from Washington D.C. So let's listen in.
Dr. John Telford, if you'd like to announce.
These two young men are talking the way I used to talk 30, 40 years ago. But, you know, I have to agree with much of what they said. But the question, Ms. Dingle, I think was, why am I running? I'm running because I have managed multi-million-dollar budgets. I did it for a quarter of a century. And I'm very concerned that we have not created jobs, we have not created revenue in the city. And it was the leadership of the school board that talked me into doing this, and I did it very willingly. And if I am elected, I have a reputation for team building. I did that when I was school superintendent. A lot of times I would hire people smarter than I was, you know, in areas where I was deficient. And I will be doing that here if I get elected. I've seen some very good young candidates who have some skills that are in areas that I don't.
All right, now we go to Herman Griffin.
Answer the question, why am I running? Because my future is tied to the people that I want to serve. I'm looking at my own family, friends, walking down the streets, and the idea that the focus has not been on the people. The focus has not been on the people. And we've been given to people at the top thinking it's going to trickle down to the people, our most vulnerable populations, and it never will.
I guess that's pretty much what I was pointing on. But your Obama trained student here looks kind of, well, this picture is like worth 1,000 words. But he looks kind of shaky and kind of nervous right now. You think he giving in on the little bit of insight that the public really not supposed to know? I don't know. Maybe.
And unless we have somebody that's at that position that's going to set the tone for focus to bring it back on the people, then the city will never move forward. I spent the last week on a bus tour to highlight what the average Detroiter has to go through that doesn't have transportation. What the average Detroiter has to go through is because of the elected officials never had to ride the bus. They never had to go through the same things. And so you have people that are elected that don't care about the people, because if they did care, they will put the focus on them, on the neighborhoods, on our children, versus anything else.
Thank you very much. We'll go to our next question. This question now will be addressed to, well, how we'd like to do it, but there'll be a 1-minute answer, 2 rebuttals. We go to Nolan Finley with the Detroit News.
Thank you. Dr. Telford, you are running for mayor. You're also suing to get your position back to be reinstated as school superintendent of Detroit. Which job do you want?
No, and I'll do both of them.
Hey, just a quick pass note. Shouts out to one of my subscribers, and I subscribed you back, by the way. But he told me I was a little hard on dude right here. But hey, shit, told you every time he opened his mouth, it's something different and something kind of funny. He kind of like the comic relief of the whole debate.
Which job? If you're
That's my answer.
if you're reinstated,
Why not do two? You got Sheriff Napoleon. I mean, he's ready to do a couple of jobs. You know, I'm here to serve the people of Detroit. I was born and raised here. I've got 167 IQ, or at least I did the last time they tested me. And I'm gonna bring that gray matter, that brain power, to whichever job I end up with, even though we're quite confident that I will be back in the superintendent.
so if you're reinstated as superintendent, will you drop out of this race?
Yeah.
I'll make that decision when we get there.
Can you say bail out?
We have time for a rebuttal, if
You
you
know
like.
what? How do you rebut a question that's addressed to just one single candidate about his life? And that's the sort of silliness that I'm talking about this up here. We're here to talk about the city of Detroit and about the future of the city of Detroit. But I'll just answer another question that was presented, since you don't want to present us any serious questions. You asked about turning around the city of Detroit and what you should do to be able to turn it around. What experience do you have as turning around the city of Detroit? I don't think it's about turning around Detroit.
Uh-oh. Check this out, y'all. Some key shit. It's a good point too being made. It's kind of, like I say, it's kind of cocky, but he sat there and thought this one up.
I think it's about moving forward. When you turn around, you're going backward. And so I'm talking about a plan that will bring us forward. But the reason why you use the phraseology turn around, because you want to give out a shout out to Duggan. But let me give you a little.
Hey, don't try to calm down now. You did it to yourself.
But let me remind you of something. Let me put something out there. Duggan never turned around the DMC. In fact, when they sold the DMC,
Unfortunately, Mr. Alubach,
the DMC was $300 million in debt.
one of the
And you can
requirements
look
of
at
the
balance
debate that you
sheet.
agreed to was
Thank you.
to provide fairness to the other candidates here, so we're going to ask you to stop if you could. We will go now on. Would you like to respond as well?
I want to respond.
30 seconds, please.
Right. Not only I'm one of those workers whose jobs is being threatened. The thing is that we're saying the working class has to organize the struggle against capitalism, and that we felt that there needs to be a new leadership among workers to show them how to fight back against the conditions that are being produced by the system and by the political establishment.
Huh? Okay.
Okay, Mr. Collier, thank you very much. Let's go to our next question. Stephen Henderson with the Detroit Free Press.
Well, for starters, I use the word turnaround because, like you, my kids live here too, and I want something better for them, just like you do. So,
This old ass. I done seen him on the news, but he's a character too. Detroit Free Press.
that was where the word came from. I want to ask you a question of all of the candidates. You've all hinted at job creation as the one of the keys to turning around this city. I'll say it again. Each of you, get more specific. Tell me what it is that you would do to create jobs. When you ask the questions, you say it the way you want.
Go ahead.
Yay, I'm an ass. Ha
Specifically, no one is going to come to a city that they can't raise their kids in, that there's crime all around the streets, the street lights aren't on. And so you have to make the city to the point where people can live here. And so that's why I say you have to put the focus back on the people. And so that means
Jobs.
in terms of creating jobs, you have to make sure that the people live here have jobs. If the people that lived here were happy, then investments would run here. If people could educate their children without sending them to private schools, jobs would run here. And so,
damn. Is that R. Kelly?
the focus has to be on making sure that the people that live here want to stay here. And another way you can do that is making sure that the neighborhoods, that people are satisfied in the neighborhoods that they live in and have benefits from living in the city. Right now, the only benefit from living in the city is a red badge of courage, which is a gunshot wound. Okay, so you can't go to the grocery store, you can't, you don't have confidence in the educational system, so you want to make sure that you focus on making sure the people live here. We focus on them first.
Thank you, Herman Griffin, for the time. If you want to give the other candidates a chance to rebut.
I appreciate that, Stephen, for a great question and it not being loaded. The job
Mr. Cocky.
issue, I talked to you about my 3-point plan, that we start with political corruption to make sure that the resources will reach the people. And then we go down into crime, we talk about that. But then under my poverty, my war against, I have the war against corruption, war against crime, and a war against poverty. We talk about jobs and a job plan. There's two things going on with jobs though, long-term and short-term. Long-term, you have mayoral candidates who say they want to get jobs by coaxing companies to come here. I think it's disrespectful to the past mayors to think that all of our past mayors had to lobby corporations. It's not about lobbying corporations. It's about government being able to set up a successful structure that we can get a new industry here.
Mr. Luba,
because when
thank
the
you very
industry
much.
comes, the corporations come. And so for me, the new industry is the trade industry.
Luba,
and we're going to
thank
do
you
that
so
based
much.
on water ports and airports to create those jobs.
It is time now to move on to our next
Thank you.
question. We'll give this.
Okay, now. For me, it's like a Kwame Kilpatrick on steroids. A man, yeah, he cocky now, but he seemed like well, I don't know. I'm not gonna speculate.
I'm going to answer.
One more.
I'll answer it. I'm calling for a massive reinvestment in Detroit, including a $25 billion public works program in order to put those who want to work back in order to rebuild the city. The social rights and the democratic rights of workers have to be protected against the gyrations of the market.
Gyrations.
Workers should have jobs whether the corporations make a profit or not. Ever since Comey has been in the city of Detroit, there's been two things that big business has been given: tax breaks, and public tax dollars have been given to the corporations, while yet they say that there's no money for the working class. One of the things that has not worked,
Mr. Collier, we are well beyond your
is not
time.
the answer.
To be fair, and I'll re-explain the format after this, Dr. John Telford, if you'd like to give 30-second rebuttal as well.
Yeah, I don't know if I can do this in 30 seconds, but to respond to Mr. Henderson's question, We have to create jobs. We have to create revenue. I haven't heard any of my fellow candidates come up with specifics. I do have specifics. I got 42 planks in my platform that speak to creating jobs. One of them is to sell
Hold up. There's one of his specifics.
bottle our water and sell it. You know, there are things that we're not going to give away our water. We're going to sell our water.
Okay, here comes the second.
Let's get a container tankers on the river to deliver it all over the country. And I think my 30 seconds are probably up.
I think that's it.
I've got some other ideas.
2 seconds left.
Yeah.
That's it.
All right, y'all. It's part 5. I'm gonna bring part 6. See y'all in a minute.